The Toronto Real Estate Board has released their 2024 Market Outlook and 2023 Year in Review report. So I'm going to go through the key highlights here. I'll leave a link below in the description so you can check that out, as well as on the same link, download the report, just 32 pages, and goes way more in depth than just the points here I'm going to share with you. Let's go ahead and get started. So, of course, the biggest takeaways from this market outlook and year in review is the unaffordability and the social impact of housing, which is really interesting. So the 2024 market outlook, you can go ahead, check out these videos they have. Again, if you just care about the quick highlights without reading the full report, these videos are a good sum up of those. I'm going to skip that for now and go right down to the buying and selling intentions. So this is a survey that the Toronto Real Estate Board put out through Ipsos. And it gives just a little bit of an outlook on those. So like with any stats and surveys, doesn't necessarily reflect the entire population, but it's interesting numbers to work with nonetheless. So 30% of those responded said that they are likely, which means very likely or somewhat likely, to list their home for sale in 2024. That's down 2% versus last year. 14% indicated they were very likely to list, and that's actually down 4% since their last survey. 28% is the share of likely home buyers for 2024, so that's the exact same as 2023. 21% of the respondents who said they immigrated to Canada within the past 10 years are very likely to purchase a home in 2024. And 32% is the average intended down payment that home buyers will have to purchase a house in 2024. Some quick solutions, and when they say solutions, I mean like anything to do with politics, government. It's just a lot of talk of what we already know. So the first one here, Olivia Chow, the new mayor of Toronto. Torontonians are relying on the city to urgently address the housing crisis. Of course, that's why I've brought forward a transformative plan to build more rent-controlled market, below market, and rent geared to income rental housing. My plan focuses on coordinating all city departments to pull in the same direction towards our goal of building more faster. So great news for the renters out there. Everyone has mixed views on that, whether you want more government in your life or not. The CEO of the Toronto Real Estate Board says building more affordable housing begins with identifying the obstacles that are holding us back. However, band-aid solutions often result in larger issues than the problems they are attempting to solve, of course, and we know government loves band-aid solutions. Simply put, the current taxes and fees on housing don't help the affordability crisis our region is facing. Land transfer taxes can act as a barrier for homeowners who want to relocate, and increased taxation may sideline would-be first homebuyers from entering the market at all. And I know on the list of actual solutions is they want to axe the land transfer tax, which would not be the end-all be-all solution, but I think it would be a great solution because I mean, how much more can we be taxed until we're left with absolutely nothing? The population of the GTA is steadily on the rise. Steadily, I would say, is an understatement. This is coming from the president of the Toronto Real Estate Board. To build a balanced market with more affordable homes, prioritizing the missing middle housing will provide more diverse and affordable housing options. This will enable builders to create multifamily housing units and purpose-built rentals that can be scaled up much faster than a one-off development proposal. And like with anything, all the parties have to be happy. I know around my area, the builders love to build these luxury homes. And that's fine. It's great. It's their thing. It's a free world after all. I mean, developers can do what they wish. The trick is, how do you get developers to build more affordable housing? Because to build these projects means that they can't get paid as much. So where do, the differences in these numbers come from? That can be passed on to, like Jennifer says, the missing middle. Our government believes that everyone deserves a safe and affordable place to call home. Part of this is increasing the housing supply to help lower the cost of housing and protect the dream of home ownership. Yes, of course, coming from the Prime Minister, that's something we already know. We need more supply, and affordable supply. It always comes back to supply and demand. And I mean, tell us something we don't know already. What's the solution? One of Canada's primary economic advantages is our ability to grow our skilled workforce, both through domestic training and education, as well as through the attraction of workers from around the world. In order to maximize our economic potential, we have to make sure we have the capacity to support people who grow up in our communities and people who choose to live in them. Okay, so I'll say it again. What's the solution? With economic opportunity and job creation spurring ever greater population growth across the greater Golden Horseshoe, confronting our housing supply crisis has never been more critical. That's why Ontario continues to take action together with their partners to meet the goal of building at least 1.5 million homes by 2031. They've been talking about this a while. They are way behind on these numbers. So what's happening behind the scenes to make this happen? Now more than ever, there's an urgent need to build infrastructure for the future due to unprecedented growth across our province. It's funny. So one person says unprecedented growth. The other says it's a steady increase. And part of the plan, yes, of building 1.5 million homes by 2031. This is across Ontario, by the way, not just the GTA. We are seizing a once-in-a-lifetime generation opportunity to build vibrant mixed-use communities around transit stations across the greater Golden Horseshoe. And if you saw my previous video where they dive a little bit into how they're going to do that, there's a lot of roadblocks in the way, and it's, again, the solutions need to be there to come up with that. So 2023 market stats, so their year in review. I'll just go back here to the total home sales. These things auto scroll. So there's just under 66,000 total home sales in the GTA, a little over 142,000 new listings. And this sales volume was down 12.1% compared to 2022. The new listings was down 8.63%. So less sales, fewer listings. The average price of all property types across the GTA was just over 1.126 million. That was down 5.4% on average compared to 2022. The average price for a detached across the board was just over 1.46 million, and that was down 5.4% as well. And yeah, the benefit was buyers were able to take a little more time and they could have conditions in their offers, which is amazing. And we didn't see when things were going crazy. We always want our buyers to have conditions in their offers for their benefit. The reality was no seller would accept an offer with conditions when you had 5 others on the table that were firm offers. Average price for a semi was just over 1.1 million. That was down 5.7%. Average price for a condo, a little above 717,000. So that was down 5.3%. And that was down 5.3% over 2022. The Toronto Real Estate Board is predicting that 2024 will give us 77,000 home sales, and which is a big increase since that almost 66,000 we saw in 2023. So the Toronto Board had partnered with Loyalist Public Affairs to come up with this report. And again, you can download the full report and these individual reports as well from the link I'll have in the description. So they talk about the need for comprehensive planning as population increases and housing supply dwindles. Moral of the story you're going to find is it's supply and demand is what it comes down to, and affordable supply at that. So how to grapple with a housing shortage. The lack of housing supply and affordability challenges are growing in Canada. Rising immigration plays a role in this complex issue. The root causes of Canada's unaffordability housing goes far beyond population growth. Although immigration contributes to housing demand, Canada's aging population depends on immigrants to fill job vacancies and promote economic growth. This is essential for expanding the tax base needed to support the aging population. Canada's population now has a larger share of people aged 55 to 64 than those aged 15 to 24, indicating the urgency of addressing the skills shortage. According to the Ellis Don Corporation, by 2029, there will be a shortage of about 100,000 tradespeople. More immigration can bring significant benefits, but government immigration policies must include a plan to ensure the newcomers have places to live that are affordable, close to jobs, and a community that helps them settle and integrate. Supply and demand. This must include further investment in emergency resources to help house refugees in Toronto and other major cities. This approach is essential to manage Canada's skills shortage and bolster its aging population. So again, they're bringing up immigration, which apparently isn't a big deal, but is, and the housing supply. So it's essential for long-term economic resilience. Immigration is a part of the equation. The broader housing ecosystem needs transformation. Canada's aging population and the imperative for economic growth have led to an increased reliance on immigration as a crucial tool for sustaining our skilled labor force and shoring up our tax base amid declining population trends. So it's kind of funny. Maybe I'm reading into this wrong, but they're talking about how immigration is one of the most important things for sustaining our skilled labor force, even though they predict it's going to be small because no one wants to do it. But then also at the same time, you have declining population trends. So I think the question would be, why does no one want to go into skilled labor, and why are people leaving? That might be a bigger question to ask the government there. Fostering a resilient housing market is not just about welcoming new Canadians, but also about maintaining the health and sustainability of our housing market. The solution doesn't rest solely on immigration. It requires a multifaceted approach spanning government support for skilled immigrants, the removal of barriers for housing development, and incentives to boost construction and renovation. These measures are vital to ensuring that the Canadian housing market remains a resilient and attractive investment prospect for businesses and individuals. This is an interesting one as well. So Kiancia did some research and put out this report as well. That's the Canadian Centre of Economic Analysis. They're talking about the social value cost of affordability or the unaffordability of GTA housing. So in a nutshell, I'm not going to dive too deep into this one, but the unaffordability aspect of the Toronto real estate market is literally making people sick. So not only would housing affordability be better from a financial perspective, but from a physical health and mental health perspective, people would benefit from being able to just live is what it comes down to. So it's sort of a no-brainer. A lot of stress, which causes sickness, stems from financial and affordability issues. So key findings from commercial, new home and condo markets. We're going to skip commercial because I just don't deal with commercial. And if you're watching this video, you're most likely interested in just residential homes. So insights on new condos. We know that new condo apartment projects, they saw a big slowdown in 2023 because as things became more unaffordable, a lot of buyers rushed to the new construction, pre-construction, because, well, that's the only time an apartment in this example would be at its cheapest point is to buy direct from the builder. But as affordability worsened in 2023, as the report says, sales slumped even more in the new condos, and actually we saw quite a few delayed projects as well. And as far as new homes for 2024, record immigration levels are adding to the backlog of buyers. I thought it wasn't a big deal. Interesting, depends who you talk to. And inflation has begun to fall back, lessening pressure on the Bank of Canada to raise interest rates. At the same time, provincial legislation continues to support increased housing levels. It's all about supply and demand. They can literally just say, we need more supply, less demand, or find that balance. So switching gears from new homes to resale homes, more or less going to be the same thing, where buyers have taken a step back. Yes, they're starting to come out again, especially this spring market. We predict it's going to be quite busy because we just don't have those inventory levels. But we'll see a property sell in less than a week. Why? Because priced well. And I've seen some homes, even in this area, they're sitting for almost a year, which means the buyers don't want to pay that price for what they're getting in the property. So for anyone watching this, you're thinking of selling, wondering if now's the right time or not. It depends. If you're just looking for a specific number, then you might be right on it or not. So it comes back to what's your motivation of wanting to move. And it's important to remember that the money stays in the market. So unless you're cashing out and moving out to a completely different city, province, country, when you buy and sell in the same market, it's all relative. So if you sell for a really high number, chances are you're going to buy for a high number. And vice versa. You sell low, you buy low. And I know a lot of people get hung up on that. And unfortunately, this is why a lot of properties I see are sitting for so long, is because they've been told, 2021, 2022 prices, and maybe at no fault of the agent or not, is they're not having that conversation with the seller. So maybe they just want to list it for the sake of listing it, or the seller says, you know what, let's just see what happens. That's a whole other topic for another video on what that's all about. But anyways, in my opinion, it's all about supply and demand. These are things we know. So what are the solutions? And if you check out my other video, I go over the key points on the solutions that the Ontario Real Estate Board has come up with on how to make things more affordable and tackle that supply and demand issue. So there's the quick, or rather not so quick, recap of this market outlook and 2023 year review report through the Toronto Real Estate Board. So like I said, link in the description. You can check it out for yourself, watch the quick videos, download the full 32-page report. And if you're thinking of making a move in this market, then now more than ever, it's important to have that discussion on if it makes sense for you at this time or not. And certainly dig in to that motivation yourself as to why you want to make that move in the first place. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks again.